How's it going, my trim people? DrSlaking, the Slacking Doctor, back with the team builder for your Bowland Bovines in the semi-finals of the Ultimate Battle League, the UBL, and it feels good to say that. I think we've had an amazing season so far, and I cannot wait for the semi-final game. It's super exciting, and this week we are taking on OPJellicent at his Toronto Leaf Storms. Yeah, this guy is somebody who we've played a lot in a short space of time. This is our fourth game against him in, I think, like the last 6 months or so. A person who I was just a subscriber to a little while ago, didn't know him personally, but had previously got to know him through the IBL D League and now the UBL, and he was the person that beat us in the final of the IBL D League. So there's a little mini rivalry forming here, where we seem to be playing him in leagues that we're doing really well in. You know, definitely an exciting game, and one that we want to get our revenge for losing in that final last time to him, and hopefully book our place in the final here after what I think has been even better season than our IBL D League run. So yeah, definitely really exciting game. He did finish as the top seed in the league, so one of the top coaches, as we kind of choked away the top seed in the final week of the season. So yeah, again, the extra kind of dynamic there that was between us two for top seed essentially right at the death of the season as well. Just a lot going on. So without wasting any more of your time, let's jump into Team Builder. One of the nice things is that we did play OPJellicent earlier on in the season, so some of these slides I've been able to recycle, such as this one, which is nice, saving me a bit of editing time. But you can see here he has a Manaphy, Weavile, Hippowdon, Cobalion, Crobat, Rotom, Heat, Acelgor, Gourgeist, Granbull, Zangoose, and Mega Latios. Now, I'm going to assume that some of you watching this probably didn't watch our game earlier in this season. I fully appreciate there'll be some of you that probably have never watched me before but want to watch UBL semi-finals, and I get that. But for those of you that did, you will probably remember that he brought like an Assault Vest Manaphy, he brought a, I think a physically defensive Hippowdon, he brought a Stealth Rocks Air Balloon Cobalion, if I'm remembering right. It was definitely an Air Balloon Cobalion. He brought a Firium Z Crobat with the Z Sunny Day and Heat Wave to try and get like a +1 speed boost and then sweep, or potentially just fire off a Inferno Overdrive with the Heat Wave. He brought a fairly speedy Rotom Heat, if I remember correctly, which I believe was his defogger. He brought a physically defensive Intimidate Baberi Berry Granbull, and I think that was his full 6, yeah. So going into this game, I'm kind of expecting him to change things up quite a lot. I know for a fact that at the time when we played earlier in the season, he felt pretty comfortable with his playoff spot, and so did not go all out against me, suspecting that we might play in playoffs. I approached the game slightly differently, where I basically just prepped for it on my own without using any of my front office's advice for that game, on the thought process that when I actually played him in playoffs, if the time came, which it has, that I would use the front office then in the playoff game, and so my prep would change, but it would still be, it'd be my best version of prep in the regular season and my front office's best version of prep in the playoff game. However, I just have been so pressed for time recently. If you saw my team builder last week, you'll know that I've just been incredibly pressed for time recently. So, yeah, I didn't use my front office, didn't do any mocks. I just kind of did 2 minutes worth of prep for this game, which we will get into in a second. But I still had a lot of suspicions about what I thought he would bring to this game. So I'm expecting something like a Dragon Dance Mega Latios to be coming to this game, or potentially some kind of Tailwind into Mega Latios, potentially. I don't think the Zangoose will come. I'm working from bottom up now for some reason, don't ask me why. I don't think the Zangoose will come. He's not brought it to a single game this season, so I'm not expecting to see that at all. I think it would be a good check to like late game Sharpedo if he's worried about late game Sharpedo, which is how I beat him last time. Then like Toxic Orb Quick Attack with the Toxic Boost is going to Oko Sharpedo. So I could definitely see that coming. However, he's got to get the Toxic Orb Boost off, which means it's got to come in early, it's got to take some chip, and I have something in mind for that. Then he has the Granbull. I think that will come again as a first death for Berry. Gourgeist I don't think is overly great. It is a very good check to Diggersby, but it just loses a bunch of momentum against the rest of my team, and I can still just like Swords Dance knock off with Diggersby if it isn't isn't Cobbleberry, or it could be Swords Dance Fire Punch or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely not an easy one. I could easily be Lumberry as well to try and take a Will-O-Wisp, or even Grass Resist Berry, which is eluding me right now to take a grass move. Why can I not think of this? Grass Resist Berry. Ah, it's just gone. It's completely gone. I don't know. Anyway, so I think Gourgeist is, I don't know, it's a little bit stretched in my opinion, and it just lets Ape in every time. Like, that's the thing, it just lets Infernape in, and he doesn't switch into Infernape overly well. If I, for example, just run like a Banded Ape with U-Turn, Megalatios has to come in, take 50% from the Banded U-Turn, and then I get something else in, like Whimsicott, for example, and then if I click U-Turn again, as he switches out, I just constantly cycle, and he's stuck in the Vortex. So I don't know, Gourgeist just seems like a momentum drain to me. Acelgor, if that comes, it's coming on a HO team to spike up. That's the only reason I see Supercell Gold coming in this game, and if I see a team preview, then I'm going to assume that his team composition is likely just to be setup spam, very aggressive with hazard stack, probably lead or something along those lines. Rotom, I think will come again as his primary defogger. His team is really stretched for defog. I don't think Mega Lassie or Crobat love doing it in this game, and I'll get to why in a second again. So I think Rotom will be defog. Crobat I think will be scarfed, and that's why I don't expect that to be the defogger. I think that he's going to want to use that as some speed control in this game. I know he commented on it in his team builder earlier in the season that he didn't bring any good speed control. I don't think it was, you know, oh, he shouldn't have said that, he's given something away to me. I think that was obvious in the game when he got swept by or he got cleaned up by Sharpedo the way it happened. I think it was obvious that he hadn't brought sufficient speed control, so I think Crobat will be Choice Scarfed. If it is Choice Scarfed, then it can potentially outspeed a +2 Adamant Sharpedo, I'm pretty sure, which, spoilers, we are going to be. So I think that could be a bit of a problem. Cobalion, I think, could come again. Really don't know what kind of set. Air Balloon was good tech last time, but I don't think it will be Air Balloon again. I don't know. I don't think. I think it was kind of heat prep, but I don't think it was the most effective for a semi-final game. That's how I feel about that. Hippowdon, I think, will come. I think that's going to be his Diggersby check potentially. It depends what he's fearing from Diggersby, right? I could see a combination of Hippowdon and Gorgeist coming, but I don't know. Then Weavile plus Manaphy. Weavile is infinitely walled by Infernape, essentially, unless he runs like Swords Dance, Aerial Ace, or something like that. But, you know, if it's Swords Dance and I Mach Punch, then Weavile goes down. So I just think Weavile is so pressured by Infernape. It has a very tough matchup against that thing. And then last but not least, he has the Manaphy, which I think this time is going to be some kind of setup variant. I could see... I actually was worried about a Z Tail Glow set, Z Rain Dance and Tail Glow, but I can see now that he couldn't do that because it's not even Z, but I was kind of concerned about that. But more realistically, I just think Tail Glow Breaker, because last time I brought a Rindo, that's a grass resist berry, Rindo Berry Rotom, and I brought a Semi-Spadef Windsor Car to take this thing on. I could see him easily running like a Tail Glow set this time to break through both of those. So that's where I'm kind of at with his team. This is a little bit longer than normal team builders because it's a semi-final game, right? We've got to go into detail. Also, I want to say I've got a different lamp behind my head now. You can see back there. I'm hoping that this lighting looks a little bit better. Let me know. I'm working on it. We've had like cross lights coming down from my main lights. This still looks a little bit dark maybe. Can I turn this lamp up that I've got here? No, it's because we're during the day still, so it's like a lot of it's just natural light. Let me know what you think. Anyway, is that light behind me? Does it look really bad? Does it look good? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. First one on our team. It's back. We've got the Infernape. So this is almost an identical set to the last game, and like I said, I basically took the team that won last game, thought, you know what, there's not too much wrong with this team. I feel like if I play well and just slightly amend things, I can win this game. Like, I fully believe in that team, and I think the Draftly players in general overestimate how much like surprise can do in a game. So, you know, if you watch people play on Smogon and things like that, you might know your opponent's 6. You might know their team composition fine. That doesn't mean you can beat it if your matchup is good and if you play it well. Information management is really important in Draft League, 100%, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all, and I believe that with this team, with a few tweaks, I can still win the game, despite the fact that he'll have a good idea of what all my sets do. I don't think that will matter if I can play well, and I think I have an okay matchup. I don't think the matchup leans to either one of us particularly. I think it's fairly 50-50 matchup. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that. This thing has to be a Weavile check again, so basically it's max speed, max physical defense, a little bit of HP in there too, but in essence just max HP, max phys def, because I'll be able to take hits from Gramble a lot better, I'll be able to take a hit from Zangoose if that thing does come a lot better, I'll be able to take a hit from the Crobat potentially, depending on what kind of Crobat it is, and just in general, if I miss my Will-O-Wisp on something like Hippowdon and Cobalion, if I can win the speed tag against Cobalion, especially the next turn, it might not be the end of the world, so it's just a way of like a bit more of a failsafe than just going max HP, max speed, which I did last time, just by investing it all in defense. It's really just here to check the physical ones. I don't need the HP rather than physical defense, because by investing in physical defense, I will take the physical hits a little bit better than by investing in HP. It's not much, it's marginal, but hey, like, these fine margins matter. I've then changed it to a specially offensive coverage with Fire Blast plus Focus Blast. We don't miss, we never miss. I just put faith in my mons. I don't know. I know that people like to risk manage, and I used to be obsessed with the fact that if you could run a 100% accurate move, then you should. Nowadays, I just decide that I'll land my moves, and I just put faith in it. I don't know, something just twigged at some point in my brain. Probably Ben getting on at me to run inaccurate moves. So yeah, I just do it now. And this thing, Basically, he's really, really strong against his team. The dual stab hits everything really, really well. Will-O-Wisp is nice. I don't need any special attack investment to chunk things down. In general, his team doesn't get a bunch of reliable recovery that really checks this thing. For example, Rotom Heat coming in on a Focus Blast could Pain Split, but like that's about the best it can do. Could be a Super Berry. Gorgeist gets reliable recovery, doesn't want to take a Fire Blast. Crobat I'm expecting to be Scarfed, so that's not going to be able to heal up. And Hippowdon's the other thing, but that hates being burnt. So in general, I feel like the things that get recovery on his team either get beaten by this, or they are going to be forced into different roles this game. So Mega Lassie I expect to be the primary check, but because I think it will be a DD mixed Mega Lassie or just straight up physical, getting that Will-O-Wisp on it at least gives me some information. So I'm always clicking Willow the first time this thing comes in. I'm always trying to catch that Mega Lassie. And then if it turns out to be fully special, hey, it is fully special, but at least I can then pivot around it knowing that it probably doesn't have the Earthquake. So, or if it does, the Earthquake is greatly neutered. So, with that in mind, let's move on to the second mon on the team, which is Crystal, the Palossand. Now, this thing, again, is pretty much an identical set to last time in terms of easy spread. Pretty much max HP, max speed def. This thing can just check the Rotom Heat, which otherwise, offensively, kind of has a good matchup against my team. It's a little bit scary, Rotom Heat. Those dual stabs hit my team decently well. My ground types don't particularly like being burnt in Diggersby, but Crystal doesn't mind it so much. Now, you might think, well, hold on, this is a physical Palossand there with Rock Tomb on it. Yeah, but Rock Tomb isn't for damage. I don't think anything has the matchup to run sub against my team because my team is so damn offensive, right? My draft it hits hard. So I think when you look at my draft, you look at things like Infernape, you look at things like Diggersby, you look at things like Sharpedo, you look at things even like Rotom, right? Even my kind of support mons still hit decently well. And then like my more passive mons like Windsor Car can encore you into substitute. So like I don't see my team as being sub-bait at all, so I don't need to break sub with Palossand. So last time I brought the Shadow Ball because it hit everything on his team, essentially. This time, I don't think that's worth it. I don't think I need it. I'd rather have the Rock Tomb. And why? Because if that Mega Lassie is Dragon Dance, it means it can't set up for me. I don't think it's going to be Substitute. I think it's more likely to be Dragon Dance, and that way I can stop it speed boosting, which means my Whimsicott always outspeeds it to Revenge Kill it. We're going to get onto that in a minute as well. So I just felt like this was far more useful. It could also slow down things down like Scarf Crobat and Manaphy, and put those in range of, say, Sharpedo, which could be really, really useful. It's also pretty nice for Weavile if he overpredicts and goes for like a sword stance on this thing, expecting my ape to come out and I want to chance it. I don't know the situation exactly, but getting the Rock Tomb slowing that thing down, it could be useful. So I don't have the priority on the Infernape after all, so being able to slow it down when it goes for a sword stance could be key. Stealth Rocks also pivotal in this match. I want to bait out the Rotom Heat as early in the game as possible and get my Stealth Rocks up as early in the game as possible because I think his team is fairly Stealth Rock weak. Certainly in the matchup I have against it, I feel like Stealth Rocks are huge. Getting rid of that Rotom Heat, getting rid of that Scarf Crobat potentially, and getting rid of getting chip on that Mega Lassie is all really, really huge for my late game win con. So yeah, I'm really, really keen on getting Stealth Rocks up as early as possible. Moving on to the third one of the team here, we have the Wincon again. This is almost an identical set to last time. Essentially max attack, max speed, adamant. I don't tend to invest any bulk in my Sharpedo because look at those stats. 70, 40, 40. What? I think it's easier sometimes to just put max speed. That way, if I know that OPJellicent is a good team builder, right? So if he looks at the matchup and he says, all right, I'm expecting Sharpedo, if it's running Adamant, to want to speed creep a modest Rotom Heat. Let's say, hypothetically, right? If he looked at the matchup and said that. Or I'm expecting it to want to speed creep an Adamant Zangoose, something like that. So then he made his Scarf Crobat outspeed my Sharpedo at +2 that was speed creeping a Adamant Zangoose. This is all hypotheticals, but let's say he did that. Me putting those extra 20 EVs in speed instead of in HP means that I might catch out a greedy speed creep with this mon and be able to outspeed him. Me putting the extra 20 in HP, I'm not living anything. It doesn't matter. Look at my defenses. I'm still dying. So that's kind of how I feel about this mon. Is it's just like, I don't take hits anyway. Let me see if I can catch him out. Because a lot of very good team builders do build like that. A lot of them try to get more aggressive with their speed creeps. And if I can catch him out, then hey, that's win-win, right? So moving on to the fourth one on the team. I should say as well, I've thrown on Aqua Jet instead of Earthquake on this. Earthquake last time was primarily for the Cobalion, but when I played in the actual game, I found that Cobalion really wasn't an issue last time, and that Liquidation would always do enough once I chipped down the Cobalion a little bit. So I really felt like I just need, like, Dual Stab. Dual Stab just hits everything, like, it hits everything. Manaphy, Crunch. That's why we have the Dark EMZ pretty much specifically for the Manaphy. Weave Out Liquidation, Hippowdon Liquidation, Cobalion Liquidation, Crobat whichever you want, Rotom Heat Liquidation, Excelgor whichever you want, Gorgeist Crunch, Gramble whichever you want, Zangoose whichever you want, and Megalati Crunch. So I just, it felt like a great matchup with just dual stab. I do think that the Gramble could come again with Intimidate and he could try and preserve it longer, but if I know that, I can abuse that. If I know like he's not going to give me his Gramble here because he's still worried about my Sharpedo cleaning him again, then I can abuse the hell out of that and make switches and make reads based off how he plays his Gramble. So I don't mind keeping this thing physical. I think that it still just puts so much pressure on the way he plays, and he's constantly fearing it in the back, that I'm perfectly happy with that. So throwing on the Aqua Jet basically means I can out-prioritize Zangoose's quick attack, like all the time, because once we've got a speed boost off, obviously our natural speed is higher than him. So whilst, yes, at neutral, he would outspeed me, all I have to do is click protect once, and then my Aqua Jet always outspeeds his quick attack, because when moves are of equal priority bracket, if you don't know, it goes off whichever mon has the highest speed stat. So by the time we've got a speed boost up, we'll have the highest speed stat, and we'll be able to go for it. So that's my thinking there. Aqua Jet could also chip down the Crobat after 3 rounds of rocks. I know that sounds excessive, but it's very doable if it's a Scarf Crobat always coming into Revenge Kill Infernape is what I'm kind of thinking it will be, because his team does not Revenge Kill Infernape well outside the Megalati, and I've got something for that. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like I can get 3 rounds of rocks on Crobat, and then Aqua Jet can just mean I don't have to run the risk of Scarf Crobat. It might not be, but that's what I think his speed control is most likely to be in this matchup. So moving on to the 4th mon on the team, we have the Megalati Check, and the reason that I think Megalati is likely to struggle to Revenge Kill Infernape much is because Big Steve is here, and Big Steve can basically come in, click Pursuit, and we take Shadow Balls with our Assault Vest, we take Earthquakes with our Shooker, with our Defense Investment. I basically took a bunch of speed out of this that I had on it last time, and just slapped it all on HP, because I would think I was speed creeping like a min-speed Rotom Heat last game, and he brought a fairly fast Rotom Heat, and I was like, do you know what, sod it, let's just go slow, fat. We'll be able to take hits from Earthquakes. We'll be able to take hits from Shadow Ball. Let's Pursuit Trap him. Even if he stays in, Pursuit's going to do enough with a combination of Pursuit into Bullet Punch and potential Burn that I think we're going to get on him pretty early. All that residual is basically just going to put the Lati down so low, it's not going to come in much on rocks if I can get them up early. You can kind of see how my game plan is forming here. You can see like it's just like remove Megalati, Crobat has to be forced in all the time, then Sharpedo with Aqua Jet plus everything else just sweeps his whole team. That's where I'm at mentally with this team build. And a bit more chip on everything else too, of course, but I just have to prioritize rocks and removing the Lati if it comes to make Crobat take rocks. Then we have Bosch here, the Rotom Wash, Discharge, Hydro Pump, Toxic Volt Switch. This is an identical set to last time. I should have taken some speed out of it because, again, I had some speed in it. With hindsight, I should have just removed some speed and put it in bulk, but I just copied and pasted last time's set. This was lovely because it means I didn't have to make a new slide, just like with Big Steve last time. Yeah, this thing just basically checks Manaphy. That's what it does. I think I can check the Manaphy anyway this time. By playing around it a little bit differently because of what my prep did to him last time, what I think that will make him do this time. I can try and make some predictions and some reads around that, so I'm hoping that I can keep Rotom in the back for the Scarf Crobat to make sure I don't get swept by that, but if I can't, this thing is still a very good Manaphy check, so that's what I'm kind of thinking here. And then last but not least, we have Storm the Windsor Car, almost an identical set to last time. In fact, I have just copied and pasted the slide from last time, but I changed it, so I apologize for this. Taunt there, you see in the 3rd move slot on Storm, has actually been changed to Encore. The reason being, I didn't feel like I needed to taunt anything that much. I felt like instead I would rather Encore the Manaphy into Tail Glow, Encore the Megalati into Dragon Dance, Encore the Zangoose potentially into like Quick Attack maybe. So like for example, if it comes in and it Quick Attacks my Sharpedo, then I can Encore it with my Whimsicott and win the game that way. So that was my kind of thinking there, if I have things that can take a quick attack right, which I may or may not have. And then, what else is there? Oh, I can Encore Rotom if I want to stay in and be really brave. Into Defog. I can Encore Crobat into Roost if it's not a Scarf set. I can Encore Cobalion into Rocks. Again, these would all take like fairly bold predictions, but in particular, the Manaphy and the Latios, I think, are the two that I'm going to be coming in on and trying to Encore into Dragon Dance or Encore into Tail Glow. Hopefully, Energy Ball plus Moonblast hits most of his team decently well. Crobat and the Rotom Heat are the two things I have to worry about, but I can pretty safely predict them coming in at times and just U-turn out, and it's not a big deal. So this thing is a huge momentum grab against his team, especially if I successfully Encore something, because if I successfully Encore the Megalati or the Manaphy, the next turn is the freest U-turn of my life. So yeah, just huge momentum ultimate grab, and that really suits this team down to the ground. So fairly balanced to offensive team build here, all positioning Sharpedo in the late game. Hopefully Chum can come through. Since we traded for Sharpedo sort of mid to late season, it has been unbelievable for us. It's picked up a load of KOs in a very short space of time, so I'm really hoping that we can continue to use this Mon effectively in this game. I have rambled on long enough. This has been a very long team builder, but I just wanted to go into as much detail as I could with this being a semi-final game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know about the lighting and everything else, and leave a comment if it was too long saying never do this again, don't talk for so long, I hated it. And if you enjoyed it, let me know. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.